Yes, folks, according to the man himself, James Gunn, nothing is canon until Creature Commandos comes out. So James Gunn kills Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in its cradle. Oh, this is such a bad headline. By declaring nothing is canon until Creature Commandos. And to be fair, that is honestly it's honestly kind of a relief. I mean, we knew that the Lost Kingdom was going to be garbage. I'm sick and tired of Black Manta. I thought that was not the right direction to take the franchise in for a second film, but hey, what do I know? This thing will not make $1 billion. But let's jump into this article from Bounding into Comics from our friend John F. Trent. We featured a couple articles now from him today. So it seems DC Studios' James Gunn decided to abort James Wan's upcoming Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom film by declaring that no DC properties until Creature Commandos will be canon. That doesn't mean they're not going to release the film. It just means that there's not a lot going forward from this project. Gunn recently made his declaration in a response to a confused Threads user who asked him, "You said DC movies and canon start with Superman Legacy. I and many others are still confused. Are the returning actors playing new versions of the same characters? Is this a J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson situation?" The Superman Legacy director responded saying nothing is canon until Creature Commandos next year, a sort of aperitif to the DCU, and then a deep dive into the universe with Superman Legacy after that. He added, "It's a very human drive to want to understand everything all the time, but I think it's okay to be confused on what's happening in the DCU, since no one has seen anything from the DCU yet." And there you go. And there's the tweet right there. And his response. What's interesting is the amount of social media interaction this guy actually leans into. But we'll move on real quickly. He elaborated in a follow-up post, says, "And yes, some actors will be playing characters they've played in other stories, and some plot points might be consistent with plot points from the dozens of films, shows, and animated projects that have come from DC in the past. But nothing is canon until Creature Commandos and Legacy." So there you go, from the man himself. He actually provided some additional clarity regarding Blue Beetle, which I think is interesting. A user asked, "I'm wondering, how does the Blue Beetle movie factor in at this point in time? In the past, you said it was included in the new DCU, but some statements are conflicting. Will it have any relation to future projects, i.e. Booster Gold?" The CEO replied, "Zolo Maraduena will continue playing Blue Beetle in the DCU, as Viola Davis will Amanda Waller, and John Cena will Peacemaker." So there you go. I think he added a lot of clarity here, but does it mean anything?
Yes, it means that I was right all along.
Whoa, Andre, you were right about something?
And if Tom was here right now, he'd be having a fit.
Yes, he would.
He was like, "Andre, I hope you're not right. This better not be what they're doing." Because what I said all along is that, okay, what's going to happen here is that James Gunn is going to pick and choose. He's going to say that, well, my stuff, that's canon. That happened. Everything else, that never happened. I kind of like Xolo as Blue Beetle, so that happened, even if he had nothing to do with it. So now we are starting to see what happens, what the new DC universe is going to be like. So, yeah, the Peacemaker, don't worry about it. You've seen the Suicide Squad, you've seen Peacemaker. That's canon. You can continue watching that. That absolutely happened. Maybe it'll happen a slightly different way, or maybe it's past tense happened in a slightly different way, where like cameos and stuff like that were concerned because of like universe hopping shenanigans. But it happened. What didn't happen was the likes of Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. All of that will be overwritten. So basically, if James Gunn had no hand in it, unless it's a Blue Beetle, it never happened, and it's going to be overwritten by new canon. But if James Gunn made it, it's going to be kept.
I have a feeling that that Blue Beetle will appear in future projects, and I think that's not a bad idea. I think that it actually fits a lot of issues that Gunn was going to have with starting completely from whole cloth. I think that this tells me a lot about what the future will be, and I think it kind of also subtly hints that you're going to see um, Momoa in a different role. I think that that's kind of been cemented there. Although
Lobo, here we come. I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I'm like, yes, sir. I'm just going to say I'm not sold on James Gunn doing Superman. I'm very anxious about that. Him doing Lobo with Jason Momoa, that I'm very comfortable with.
Yeah, but I'm also in the same, I still have the same concerns you do, Andre. There's going to be a lot of disjointed and uneven things that we're going to get that could be quite trash. And I don't know, Nick, you've been quiet on this one.
I mean, I thought the writing was kind of on the wall for this whole situation. That they're not gonna make anything canon. Till Gunn starts putting his movies out there. They've already said. I saw an article the other day where they were talking about how Aquaman 2 is basically going to be the end of the Snyderverse era. And moving forward, it's going to be all other things. Jason Momoa's said that he's going to be stepping out of the Aquaman role, and looking at playing another character, such as Lobo in James Gunn's new canon era of the DCU. So yeah, none of this is really surprising to me. Like I said, I thought the writing was pretty much written on the wall the whole time.
I think you're right, and I have to pose a question to Andre because it's speculative on my part. But do you think that this also has to do with the contractual state of the three people that were mentioned in these tweets? That they already have multiple, project deals together with John Cena and the lady that played Amanda Waller, her wife, Viola Davis, and obviously with Zolo. I mean, you think they signed a multi-picture or multi-project deal, and they were going to have to keep them regardless?
Here's the thing: when they sign a deal like that, it's only obliged one way,
right?
Because what those deals always and without exception do is that you give the actors the option to come back and an obligation to do so if the studios decide to carry out that option. So, for instance, it's going to have a clause like, for instance, okay, Sholo, this is the contract for this movie. As part of this contract, if we decide we want to, we're going to bring you back for more movies, and then it's going to be under these conditions. But if we decide against doing so for whatever reason, ain't nothing you can do about it. So that's how these deals work, that the studios are completely free. Like, they don't have to use an actor that they don't want to. It doesn't work like that. It's not like, oh, we are now locked in with this actor. No. You're not locked in with any actor. But the actor is locked in with the contract if the studio decides to move forward. And yes, I believe that all of those have deals for the time that is legally allowed, without them having to be renegotiated for like higher salaries and stuff like that. That they will be coming back for both sequels and more seasons and even cameos and other stuff. I believe all of that is going to be in the contracts, not just of these named actors, but of all the others as well. And here's the difference for these three named actors. Well, that's where Warner is going to execute their option. Whereas for all the others, they're simply not going to execute their option.
Well, what I'm concerned with is because it's going to be such an expensive enterprise to restart DC from the ground up, which is what Gunn has been charged to do, and they're spending.
I don't know that it's going to be that expensive. It's not going to be any more expensive to restart Superman than to do another Superman movie? Not really. I don't think so. I think it's going to be
Well,
much the same price. If anything, it is going to be cheaper because now you can use cheaper talent.
oh,
Like
sure.
this was, for instance, got Henry Cavill. Bringing him back right now, you're going to have to. I mean, it would cost to bring back him alone would cost more than it currently is going to cost for all of the actors in Superman Legacy combined. All of them combined is less than bringing back Sir Henry Cavill alone. So just there is a saving. This is part of the program. You can now also get in different people to do the designs and stuff like that you also don't have like any commitments with from before, so you can get a better rate right there. Plus, for all the other things, you're going to have to do it from scratch anyway, just like you would have under any circumstance. So it's not going to be any more expensive. It actually is going to be cheaper this way.
Well, okay. Let me add even more clarity though. They're spending more money on expanding sound stages just for DC. They're actually giving them some dedicated space for these upcoming projects.
Probably because they're spending less on the talent.
Oh no, I agree.
They got the extra money.
Yeah. That's also an investment. That only goes to show that they anticipate that these sound stages are going to be used a lot, and by doing that, they're going to save money on actual shoot and renting studio space down the line. It might take a couple of years, but if they're serious about it, that is also economies of scale that's going to save them in the long run.
Well, they do. If you know anything about sound stages, they go up like Jiffy Pop. It's not exactly, they're not exactly hard to put together. It's the interior part that they'll have fleshing it out if they're going to put like volume in and stuff like that. Although that can mostly be done in just a handful of days. But they are doing a massive expansion in Leavesden, if I'm pronouncing that properly. So
I actually got a question for both of you guys. I know there's a lot of speculation going on. I just want to get y'all's thoughts on this, on where Aquaman 2 is going to end. If it's going to be a hard end to the Snyderverse, or if we're going to see the switch over into the James Gunn Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters slate. If there's going to be a, like a transition, are we going to see something at the end, or is it? Do you guys think it's just going to be a hard cut? Movie's over.
I think it's just going to end. There's no reason for them to try to artificially keep people tied to that old thing. I mean, Peacemaker even technically isn't exactly directly tied to this, and that's one of the reasons why it can progress forward. At least in my opinion. I don't know, Andre, what do you think?
No, I agree completely. There's no reason at all to try to end the universe. You know why? Because then they would have to do reshoots that cost money. And they're not throwing any more good money after the bad money that they're going to be losing on this one. So no, there's not going to be any kind of setup to what is to come. This movie is just going to end much like it was always going to, only without cameos and stuff like that. It's just going to end.
Well, and it sounds like it's also going to end with less audience based on reports that people are walking out of it, and the baby gets killed off. But we got
exactly.
Yeah. We got a couple of super chats real quick that are related to this. I want to get to them. Again, this is a fan-funded podcast. We are definitely demonetized now. And your support helps Nate out and make sure that we have great content coming from him daily. He's been doing some great lore videos, those need to be coming out every day, and a lot of other wonderful things. Plus, you get your favorite podcast twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, a bit later on Tuesdays, a bit earlier on Thursdays. And thank you all for being here. You are much appreciated. From Black Saber for $2, Markin. You got Gunn is playing till Warner Brothers is flipped and sold. Wow. Andre, what do you think the prospects are for Warner Brothers to be removed from Warner Brothers Discovery, or from Discovery, I should say?
On a long enough time scale, extremely good. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. But you know what I do think? I do think that David Zaslav, he didn't buy Warner to keep it forever. He bought it to flip it. And in order to flip it, he has to fix it. And that is good news for us.
It is. Especially fans of the properties. Yeah. I know. Honestly, Andre, so you really do think that, in the not near future, but in the distant future, this is really a radical opportunity here?
Yes, I think so. I
Fair
think
enough.
so.
Nick, you got thoughts on this?
I agree with what Andre is saying. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think it'll be years down the road. If this gun thing starts coming out, my only question or my only thought is, are they going to put gun here, and is he just playing like Black Saber saying here till it's sold, and he can pretty much do whatever, whether it's a
I
flop
have thoughts
or
on that.
well, yeah, because the thing is, if it's just a flop and they're just losing money and the James Gunn verse thing is not working, I could, they're going to sell it. It's going to be cheap. But if it does well and it actually brings Warner Brothers price points up, I could see them still selling, and taking advantage of what he's done to kind of increase the price of Warner Brothers.
Andre?
Yeah. Whenever there's a sale, James Gunn is going to be part of the package.
Yeah, I think so. And in fact, they really do try to keep everybody intact. A lot of times you'll see a flurry of contract renewals prior to a sale. You'll see that. You'll start to feel it.
I'll give you an example.
Well, yeah. When they start taking inventory of people and projects and equipment, you're being sold. So I don't know, Andre, what you think to that, but yeah.
No, absolutely. You are, of course, entirely right. But the other thing to add to that is that just think back to when Disney acquired Marvel. It's not that they bought the Marvel IP and they fired everyone. By that point, Marvel already had a proven track record and they already had a winning team. There was no need for Disney to go in and change something that already worked. When they bought Marvel, it was with the implication that they also get the winning team that made it a success, and I was going to continue to make it a success along with the package. Now, the whole idea of a sale here is premeditated on the fact that James Gunn be successful with his reboot, that he actually knocks it out of the park. And if he does that, then whoever might inquire it later on, why would they change what works? They're not going to be interested in the same level if they can't have Gunn with it to continue what he's already set up and what he's still doing. So it's not going to be that he's playing until they're flipped and sold. No. If and when they are, he'll be part of the package.
Oh yeah, and again, that's not uncommon. But hopefully they won't have whoever ends up with Warner Brothers in that distant future. Hopefully they won't do what Disney did and get rid of the people who actually keep all the mice in line, because they were at Disney, they screwed Marvel up so badly that it's a reclamation project at this point. But we'll get to that a little bit later. We've got another amazing and interrelated super chats. You guys are crushing it. Thank you for the fan funding. For those of you who want to add to the conversation, this is the way to do it. Horseradish Power sends £2 saying James Gunn is killing his stuff before it begins. Yeah, I mean, it could be argued that's an accurate statement.
He's just selling other people's stuff to make way for his own stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, he's kind of hamstrung himself. Some of the things that he's said, some of the things he's tied himself to.
That did not age well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, the greatest superhero film ever made was The Flash. What?
Yeah, he did not think that through.
No, and again, I mean, if that's a problem, because it really does reduce your credibility. I mean, you've got a whole host of people going, "Oh, what now?" And that's the last thing you want when you're rolling into a new, leadership position. And then look at his statements around the financial disappointment. I'm going to be nice to the Blue Beetle film. That was incredibly disappointing. The studio had no support for Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Didn't we just have another DC thing come out? I feel like we did. Blue Beetle,
Black Adam.
Black Adam. Yeah, I mean, the studio kind of like bailed on Black Adam too. They've thrown no support behind these films that they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on, and what they get is like a very soft support, like they did when Gunn said that Flash is the best superhero film ever made. That's not
Yeah,
good.
but the thing though is that from James Gunn's point of view, yeah, he wants them to make money because that's good for the studio in the long run. But in isolation for him, it's just as well if they come out and they die, because then his stuff is going to look better by comparison.
Perhaps, but I believe that if you're a team player, you'd say nothing. Like, we're rounding out the DC as it has existed cinematically and animation and television, and we will plot a direction in the future. He didn't have to say anything, and yet he made grandiose announcements on the future of
Why I
DC.
think he did that? I think he has to show the Warner leadership a significant show of public support, because they know that him coming out early and letting everyone know, oh, we're rebooting all of this, that killed so much momentum it had. So now he has to do some kind of like make good and really show his public support, even though it's not genuine and everyone can see through it.
Yeah, you would have thought that he might have waited till all the Snyder era films were over with before making that announcement and just kind of working on that stuff behind the scenes, because at this point, like, what's the point of going and seeing any of these movies?
Oh, that was the takeaway. There's no point.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying right here. I mean, the one misleading thing with the article is that it's not that he's gone and he killed it now. Now he's done that already. It was already dead. We all knew. The moment he basically said, oh, we're rebooting it, and all of these movies were killed by accident. That was just on him. That was all of Warner not thinking that through.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like Warner Brothers was completely out, and they didn't mind that everything was going to fail. But to that end, we have one more super chat related to this, and this is a good question. Speaking of killing things, Pilgrim Media for $2 says, "What with DC? What is with DC putting babies in danger? I don't know. I mean, the Flash, the babies and the baby in the microwave thing, and all of that. With that film was just a hot mess. That was the Flash, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was it the Flash? Yeah, it was terrible.
It was the Flash. Yeah.
That was probably the worst. That was probably the worst thing. And then they come out, and then basically what they're doing again with this Momoa film, this Aquaman 2 film with Amber Heard, they're doing it again. They're killing the baby. Not good. Not good, DC. I don't know. Do you guys have any inkling as to why they would continue to do this?
No clue. It doesn't make
I think that's someone's idea of being edgy.
Yeah, probably.
All I got.
Baby in a microwave was just a weird moment for me. That was actually the point in the film. Like, this thing is, they jumped the shark. In fact, it jumped the shark and then pulled like 30 sharks with it. It was bad.
Oh, totally.
It reminded me almost of the moment, if you guys remember the Jean-Claude Van Damme film Double Team with Dennis Rodman and Mickey Rourke, where he throws a grenade into one of the baby beds in the hospital and then pushes the baby with the grenade in it towards Van Damme, and he's got to like hurry and get the grenade to save the baby and throw it. I'm like, wow, he's about to kill a bunch of babies in this. That's pretty dark.
I mean,
I don't know that I've seen that movie.
Yeah, it's called Double Team with it's not a good movie.
With Dennis Rodman. It's one of my favorite bad movies. Come on, Nick.
Yeah.
It's right up there with Showgirls, dude. Come on.
Yeah. There's some cool stuff in the movie, but it's one of those like fun, bad popcorn movies,
Right.